Oh, okay. Still can never get used to that bright light shining in my face. Hold on a second. Had to turn my TV off for a second there. Okay, now I'm seeing spots. Anyway, guys, welcome to the second half of my little pre-taped stuff. I don't know. Like I said, I pre-taped these. I've been meaning to get to this for a couple of days, but you know, can't really tear myself away from DC Universe Online and a whole bunch of other stuff, so I thought, but the lesser known but awesome hero that I'm here to talk about today is kind of one that's like Ms. Marvel. Because even though they're doing a lot of stuff with Ms. Marvel, the next lesser known but awesome hero type character is actually one that surprisingly was very obscured. He was one of Marvel's first black superheroes of the 70s, and they've been doing a lot of stuff with him. He's now the leader of the Thunderbolts. He's the leader of the New Avengers. He's one half of the Power Man and Iron Fist team. Yes, I am talking about Luke Cage. And I like this picture right here. I don't know why, but I just find this so humorous. Him and Daredevil on like a steel girder or something at a construction site eating lunch. Or like breakfast or something. And this was the very first issue of Luke Cage, and as you can tell, he looks really goofy. Got like the little like bell-bottom type pants, and it looked like an anchor chain, a yellow disco shirt, and apparently a tiara style headband. This is what he looks like in Ultimate Alliance 2. And this is just some random shot that I saw. Pretty much, his real name is Carl Lucas, but he got it legally changed to Luke Cage. He is married to Jessica Jones. They have a daughter. All this stuff. And to give it in perspective, Lucas was a guy who, he was a former gangbanger. However, he wasn't one of those gangbangers that dealt in drugs and, you know, would maim or kill people. He was more or less like one of the old style, kind of like greaser type dudes. He would basically, you know, he would fight, you know, if you came into his turf, he would just, you know, rough you up a little bit. And you know, Lucas, he always kind of had a heart of gold. He wasn't a bad person. He stayed away from drugs. You know, he in a sense did a lot of good things, you know, and he even tried to work with, you know, kids in the ghetto to, you know, help improve things. He still does that as a hero. And what ended up happening is that his best friend, who later became one of his first supervillains, Diamondback. No, not the female Diamondback, not the one that's got the little like diamond-shaped throwing knife shuriken things. Not her. The actual first Diamondback per se was a Luke Cage villain, and he was a guy who had like all these knives that had like different functions. One was explosive, one was sonic, another was like an incendiary, etc. You get the point. But Lucas, he and his best friend, well, I'll call him Diamondback for now, they were basically, you know, Lucas basically went on later on in life, and he got a job, he went legit, and he was doing very well for himself. And what ended up happening is that him and his best friend, you know, as the old cliche goes, this beautiful girl comes along, and the two of them basically start beefing, and the girl actually felt for Cage because, you know, he had a job, he was good looking, he was very nice. So this guy, who is supposedly his best friend, stabs him in the back by stashing at least like a pound of narcotics in his apartment, has him falsely arrested, and imprison and to top it all off, his brother thinks that he's going back to his old gangbanger ways, so he tells his father he's dead. So as you can tell, Lucas is basically cut off from the outside world. And what ended up happening is that his best friend took this girl, and then, he used her as a human shield when the Maggia came to try to collect a debt or something. And he was in a prison, and he was being beaten by racist guards till like the new warden of that prison came along. And the captain of the prison guards, you know, he was angry, you know, he had to check the camera time there for a second. He was angry because, you know, Cage, you know, how dare, you know, this black man, you know, make me look like a fool. You know, I'm better than him. You know, one of those neo-Nazi KKK skinhead type attitudes. And there was this doctor that gave Cage parole. He told him, hey, you participate in my experiment, I can get you early parole. And Cage goes for it because he wants Diamond back badly. He wants to rip this dude's head off and absolutely just crap down his neck in the worst way possible. And so what he ends up doing, he participates in this experiment, which was supposed to be like an immunity thing. It was supposed to cure all diseases or create, like, you know, immunity or high-based immunity for like people that had like amino deficiencies and stuff, like immunization and stuff. And the captain of the guard knocks out the doctor and accelerates the machine past the normal point that the doctor had been testing with Cage. And the machine basically overloads and explodes, thinking that it would maim, cripple, or kill Cage. Instead, it morphed his... It didn't rewrite his code, but it basically it altered his body chemistry, so he was granted super strength, and he could basically... And he also, his skin, not literally like Colossus from the X-Men, but his skin took on the essence of titanium steel, or high-grade titanium, meaning that bullets could bounce off of him and a sharp katana could just scratch him as if, you know, somebody tried to cut him with like a butter knife or something. And that's pretty cool. So he has like unbreakable skin, but that's also his weakness, because the only two things that can really puncture his skin is adamantium and high focus, like laser beams, like intensely focused laser beams. And when I say super strength, he can basically rip out a piece of concrete and can whirl it at somebody like it's a football. So that's pretty cool. That is very cool that he can do all that stuff. And then he ends up, you know, breaking out of jail. He stops a robber from robbing this diner. And as a reward, the owner gave all the money that the diner had made that night. And then, you know, Lucas gets the idea, you know, hey, you know, maybe I should be a superhero for hire. And so what he did is that he changed his look, called himself Luke Cage, you know, as an alias, and he would actually, he would go around, he would stop bank robberies, muggings, and he would pass out business cards. And he had this really bad luck kind of deal with being a hero for hire, that he would always end up returning the money. He would hardly ever accept it half the time. And on top of that, he actually once got into a fight with Dr. Doom over $200. But I can explain that in like a Two Nerds One Comic discussion at another point. But it's a pretty funny panel and story. But Cage went on, and he eventually teamed with Iron Fist, where they, you know, did Heroes for Hire Incorporated, or Heroes for Hire Inc., which is a very prominent, you know, superhero group that Misty Knight